Hey folks, this is Kelani. Welcome back to the Tomb of Sargeras raid guide for normal and heroic. This time we'll be looking at the Fallen Avatar. This fight consists of two phases. For the first phase, the Avatar will be stuck in the floor while throwing out all manner of abilities to try and kill you. One of the most annoying abilities is Unbound Chaos. Whenever the boss casts this ability, everyone will start spawning green swirls under their feet. Everyone needs to move constantly while making sure that they don't walk on top of other people's Unbound Chaos. This gets significantly harder with larger groups, so just be sure to start spread out and try not to move towards anyone else. We found it easier for melee to deal with this mechanic by standing at max melee range, then moving slowly towards the boss. This allowed them to avoid any damage while still being able to hit the Avatar. If you have too many melee, some of them might still have to run out. The next ability is Shadowy Blades. These will spawn at the boss and fixate on random players. After a delay, they will fire from the Avatar towards their targets, damaging and leaving a slowing pool under anyone they hit. Ideally, the targeted players would point these to the sides of the room. While the targets themselves will see a purple beam showing them the flight path of the blades, everyone else will just see the blades, so watch out for where they're pointing. There's a tank ability to deal with called DESOLATE. This just deals a large amount of damage and applies a lengthy debuff which increases the damage you take from the ability. Our tank swapped at 2 stacks of this debuff. The boss will also periodically cast Rupture Realities, which is a huge wind-up AoE that deals fall-off damage, so just run towards the edges of the room away from the boss and you shouldn't take too much damage. If the boss doesn't have a melee target, he will start to AoE the raid, so make sure your tanks get back in range quickly whenever they move out. On heroic mode, you'll also have to deal with the Touch of Sargeras ability. Several green circles will appear throughout the room, which deal a huge amount of damage if they expire. To avoid this, you'll need to stack 3 to 4 players inside each one so they split the damage between themselves. If a Touch of Sargeras expires and no one is standing inside it, it will just one-shot the raid. I would recommend spreading your ranged and healers throughout the room to make sure the circles can be soaked wherever they spawn. This is another fight where the room itself is important. There are 5 pylons in the room. A random one will activate and start funneling energy into the boss. If the boss ever reaches 100 energy, he will transition you into phase 2, which we don't really want to happen as there is also an ad you'll have to deal with called the Maiden of Valor. If the boss ever transitions because he reaches 100 energy, he will eat the maiden, absorbing all of her remaining health. The tank who is not currently tanking the boss will need to tank the maiden inside the energy stream of the active pylon. That will stop the energy reaching the Avatar, but it will give it to the maiden instead. The maiden will periodically gain increased damage while standing in the energy beam, but that doesn't really seem to matter all that much as she doesn't hit very hard anyway. Note that the activated pylon will change, so your tanks need to drag the maiden over to the new pylons very quickly to prevent any energy getting to the boss. When she reaches 100 energy, she will gain a huge shield and start casting Cleansing Protocol. If the cast finishes, it will one-shot your raid. The only way to stop it is to DPS down her shield, and every time you stop her from casting Cleansing Protocol, she will lose 25% of her max health. So if you stop 4 Cleansing Protocols, you kill the maiden without ever having to really DPS her. There are 2 ways to handle this. Only DPS the maiden when she's casting Cleansing Protocol and has the shield, and do this 4 times. Or do it 3 times and kill her after the 3rd. Ideally you would want to have her cast it 4 times because that gives you more time on the boss, and you will want his health to be as low as possible going into phase 2. But if your tanks aren't perfect with tanking the maiden in front of the energy beams and the boss is getting too much energy, it's always better to kill the maiden after the 3rd protocol rather than risk the boss reaching full energy and then eating the maiden. When the maiden dies, that will also transition you into phase 2. The Avatar will break the floor and you'll fall into a new area. The boss will still use Desolate, so your tanks still need to swap. He will also be casting Dark Mark. The targeted players will need to spread out slightly, and your raid members will need to stand in the purple circle to help soak the damage of the ability. Everyone who gets hit will get knocked up and back, so just try not to go flying into the lava. The boss will also still cast Rupture Realities, so you will need to run away, but it will also destroy a large section of the platform you're standing on, so be sure to always tank the boss in the corners. The Avatar will also be AoEing the raid constantly with SEAR, which deals fire damage every 2 seconds. Whenever the Avatar is standing in lava, the damage of SEAR increases permanently, so when he destroys the platform, make sure you taunt him out of the lava as quickly as you can. On Heroic mode you will also have to deal with black winds. These are purple tornadoes which move throughout the area. If you get hit you'll take a huge amount of damage, so just avoid them at all costs. Running out to stand in the lava for a few ticks is a lot better than getting hit by the tornadoes, especially when you get to your last little bit of platform. You have a total of 4 Rupture realities before the entire platform is gone, so this phase is a race against time. The key to victory is making the most out of your time in phase 1, and getting him as low as possible before you transition. So that should be all you need to take down the Fallen Avatar on Normal and Heroic. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, or hop on over to Discord. We have a server at discord.gg/Kelani, great place to come ask questions or just hang out. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.